Hey everyone, today we're going to talk a little bit about how do you sell your art outside of the gallery system, and is a gallery even necessary for you? There's a couple things that have been on my mind about this when I've been talking to other artists as well as thinking about my own art career. And I would say that I believe that galleries are still good. They're still a very helpful and important part of the art world. There's no question. In our area, we live in an area where there's not really a lot of galleries, but there are some, and they certainly play a vital role in the lives of some artists. So this is not a video intended to diminish their role by any means, but I want to kind of help some artists start to make some sales, and if they thought about kind of what a gallery goes through, it'd make a little bit more sense for them either to learn how to sell it on their own or to figure out a way that they can eventually partner with a gallery. So I've been in business a long time. I started working when I was in my last year of high school, so back in 1997 up until the present day. And I've done a lot of different jobs, worn a lot of different hats. As a snapshot, my career has included roughly 20 years of sales management and retail management experience, and about 7 years of nonprofit leadership experience, as well as 10 years of ownership experience, which is this last 10 years. So I've done some things for sure, and I feel like I'm kind of about the half point in my career, and I've been actively working on making art the main portion of the rest of my career. So I've been selling art for about a decade now, and my family and I own two other businesses. One of them is a veterinary hospital, and the other one is a pet supply store for dogs and cats. My wife is a veterinarian, and we've been just working really hard, kind of doing the things that we really enjoy doing and helping a lot of people in the process. For me, this is still early in my YouTube channel's history, but I wanted to continue to add value to artists and other people just in general. But this one's definitely for the artist that's trying to make a living from their art rather than the hobbyist artist. So I think the best place to begin would be to just explain the role of a gallery in an artist's life. If you look at the traditional marketing mix, you're going to have a few things. You're going to have product, price, promotion, and place. And since then, other thought leaders in marketing have come up with a couple other of the P's in the marketing mix. But the traditional four still it makes it a lot easier to think about how does any product or service get sold. So you as the artist, you're the one that's producing the product, and typically you're the one that's establishing the price of that product. The gallery comes along to assist the artist in the promotional efforts of getting the work seen and the artist known. And they also provide the place for the transaction to happen. Not only the transaction to happen, but a place to see the artwork, typically in a very nice setting with good lighting, so that a potential collector can see it in person rather than just the internet or in a catalog. And as you know, art looks so much better in person than it does online almost every single time. So having that is super helpful, because what it allows the artists to do is spend more of their time making art rather than spending half of their time doing the other two parts of the marketing, the promotion and the place. So an artist is able to free themselves to make more work, and gallery supports them in terms of the sale of that work. So that's why a lot of artists still really want to be in a gallery and avoid the business side of it. But the point is, you don't really have to be. And if you're not, I think the question is, how do you sell your artwork if you don't have a gallery representing you? So I'm going to talk about a couple different things, and I'd like to start with a story about Monet. I'm still learning a lot more about Monet's life, but from what I've understood so far, I'm a bit like him, and many of you are too, where some of your earliest memories you were drawn to making art. And Monet had encouragement from his family, his teachers, and decided to pursue it, moved to Paris, and was definitely getting some training there and doing some networking with other artists, and did not find the way that the Academy had been teaching art up to that point in time for a few hundred years, and the salon process, didn't find his place in that as much as some of the other artists of the time did. So he knew kind of what he wanted to make, why he wanted to make it, but in order to bring it to life, he kind of banded together with other Impressionist artists, and they did their own exhibition. So rather than have the salon be the place where the art was sold for him and his friends, they basically just decided to sell their own. They did their own show, their own marketing for that show, and their own sales from that point on. And the initial PR wasn't good. It's how they got the name The Impressionists. It was initially intended to be a derogatory name, but they embraced it and actually worked out in their favor in the long run. But Monet sort of struggled early on in his career to make enough money, and he was definitely trying to sell the paintings by himself, and he was eventually able to, through the support of friends and family and collectors, patrons, there was one dealer that was instrumental in his life that took his work all over different countries, including crossing over the Atlantic and bringing Monet's original paintings to the United States. So that dealer helped expose his work to a lot more audiences, to help him find more collectors. And that is a really interesting thing because well, I'm sure that there was some dealer or some galleries involved in that whole process. It wasn't as if Monet needed just one gallery to make the sales. He just had to work hard at figuring out how to get his name out there, how to get his work out there. And he started to make more and more money in his career as his reputation grew. People sought after his work and started collecting it. And so by the time that Monet passed, he was actually fairly wealthy, and we all know who he is. And so he's achieved in his lifetime, he achieved some really great things. For yourself and myself, I'm not sure where you're at in your journey. I got back into traditional painting in 2018, and it's 2025 now. And so I've been exploring how the art world works. And I think the thing that I've realized the most is it's just like anything else. Any other thing that you could possibly think about promoting and selling and building a customer base around, there really is no difference. And I think the one thing that's different for us a little bit is if we're selling original work, one of the things that's kind of unique about our industry is the value of the products, because typically they're one of a kind, which makes them kind of priceless to some degree. But the market always finds a price for it, and it seems that when an artist is getting going and establishing themselves, they start off at a lower price, and as more and more people buy their work, they're able to raise those things. So the question becomes, if the artist isn't going to use the gallery system, what other ways can they start selling the work? Well, they're going to have to do their own promotion, and they're going to have to figure out the places. The promotion side is going to be a mix of different things, typically, based on where you think your audience may be paying attention to. So there's some traditional forms of promotion, but definitely I would say that they still include showing the work, and they still include some sort of customer list that you stay in touch with, whether it's by mail or email, text message. You could have your social media channel, or maybe several different channels. But you're going to have to find ways that you can include in your everyday week part of your tasks of getting your name out there and your work. The internet allows us to reach people pretty much anywhere. We're not having to necessarily travel to other countries the way that they did in the 1800s. But that's still actually a good thing to do so that people can see the work in person. Sometimes you can travel and go to different art fairs and festivals. There's also even galleries that will host your work sometimes in other places. So the big point there is the promotional side. If the gallery's not doing it for you, you're going to be the one doing your own promotion. The second part of that is the place. So if it's not in a gallery, where else could it be? Some of the most obvious places it could be in your own home. It could be, like I have a studio, so it could be in your studio. It could be professional offices like dentists or lawyers, accountants. It could be in real estate open houses. It could be in local shops, coffee shops, or small boutiques. There's also the online marketplaces like eBay and Etsy and Saatchi and a lot of other places. There's your own website, right? Yeah, there's definitely the fairs and festivals, which are a lot of fun to participate in. They're a lot of work, but they're a lot of fun. And if you have a mix of these, that's so many more avenues other than having just one gallery in one place. It's a lot more work, and maybe it's not a lot more work. It's just that you have to divide your week up differently. If you had a gallery doing all of that kind of stuff for you, then you could spend most of your week just painting. But the truth is, if you are going to do this on your own, you might have about half the time for painting, and the other half is going to be relationship building. So there's the promotion part, which includes that relationship building. In fact, all of the activities under the promotion are really designed to help you build relationships. And then there's the place, where can they physically buy it at? And so they can buy it from you in person from a lot of those examples, or you end up shipping it to the customer. But the point is, with all of it, if you think through all of those potential things, I think the thing you have to consider is, number one, do you want to make a living from your art, right? I don't think it's completely necessary for you to do that. I think you can, I don't think there's any requirement that artists have to make a living selling work. Does that make sense? Now, if you don't, the alternative is you have to find some other way to make a living, and then your art sometimes ends up getting pushed to the cracks of your life. And so if you do want to make a living with this and do it more regularly, then that's the stuff that you start trying to figure out, how do I do the type of work that I want to do and make a living at it? And I would say, if you can write down, what are the products that you have. And so behind me, you see an original, and then you see like a framed print. So those are two examples of products. You'll have a price list of all of those types of things. Typically, that'll be on your website. But you'll have to figure out from a promotional standpoint, how is it that you want to tackle meeting brand new people, making them aware of what you do, helping them become interested in what you do, and then, how do you lead them to an opportunity for them to own it and buy it? So you have to write down the things that you can commit to for each one of those promotional activities. If you try to do too much, you probably won't do much of anything, especially being an individual person. So you have to do the things that matter the most, and then allow some of the other things to wait a little bit until you have the ability to spend money to have other people do some of the promotional work for you. And then the place thing, same thing. I have an annual calendar, and I know each month where I'm going to be. So the first part of the year, I'm in my studio teaching classes, and I am doing some of my own pop-up shows. I am, starting in May up through September, doing a number of fairs and festivals, some that are local and some that I travel for. And then as it comes to the end of the year, I am sort of back in that pop-up gallery mode. There are some other shows I probably could participate in, but every month I kind of have a plan for where I'm going to be physically, where my place is going to be. And then whole year long, I have a website, and I have my other things like eBay, Etsy, that are always available. But you could have some of those things working for you and still feel like sales are sluggish. And I think that one of the reasons that may happen is total number of traffic. So in person, in a fair, you can imagine that there may be several hundred or even several thousand people that walk by your booth at a fair. But on your website, if you go in and look at the analytics, how many people are visiting your website on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. And if the numbers are pretty low, then that's where the promotion side comes in. How do you get traffic to your website, right? So you have to decide which promotional channels you are going to use that are working for you that gets people from hearing about you to wanting to check out your work. But at the end of the day, if you can imagine, let's say you started with about 100 relationships, and then you just keep adding more and more relationships to your total list of relationships. Some of them will become collectors. They will just buy things from you. Like, they will ask you to be able to buy it. Eventually, they kind of all do that as long as you keep your name and your work in front of them. When the right thing comes along, they will do that. But you have to work at continually building the list, going from 100 to 500 to 1,000 to 10,000, right? And 10,000 is still relatively small. There's channels here on YouTube where a single video gets 1 million views or more. So you have to eventually think a little bit like Monet and get your work in front of as many audiences as you possibly can so that you can find enough collectors. And the thing is, when people start buying up every single piece that you make because your audience is so big, people will see why you are starting to charge a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, because there's demand for your work. There's people out there that want it. And the thing that's really cool about art compared to anything else that I've sold is original art has the ability to go up in value over time. So not only are these people enjoying having it in their homes or their offices or wherever they have it, but if they're taking care of it, and you're working hard in your career, there's a good chance this work's going to continue to move up in value. So the price that they paid is going to be the cheapest price that anyone will ever pay, right? That's pretty exciting for the owner of the artwork. And I think the more you do that, the more you start to build your following, you start to realize that you may or may not need a gallery. I have some art friends that I've met the last few years that used to be in galleries, have their work there, and they make so much more money on their own for a number of reasons. Number one, they are willing to do their own promotion, and sometimes they do it, sometimes their promotion is just them having a camera on them as they're actually making their work. So they're kind of accomplishing two things at once. But like one friend, she goes multiple different states with her originals, and she has, smalls, mediums, larges, extra larges in her 10 by 10 tent, and has a great year. I met another artist that has a really nice tent, mostly all big pieces or medium-sized pieces, and makes $250,000 a year, doing 26 shows a year of her own. If you think about how often you see an artist get a show in a gallery, it maybe is once a year. And so being able to take it out into the world for themselves and have that many more opportunities to show people their newest stuff, they like that way better than the gallery system. So I'm going to end this video now just because it's getting pretty long, but I wanted to just kind of put that out there for you that galleries are nice, and I think anyone would be very fortunate if they have a gallery actively working on their behalf for them, but it's not required. A gallery is definitely not required for you to make a full-time living as an artist. So if you have any questions about that, go ahead and leave the questions in the comments down below. And since I'm actively working on trying to build this channel up, please like the video if you liked it. And please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm going to continue to put out more content that is helpful for my fellow artists. So have a great day.